The PGA Tour is heading overseas for a joint event with the DP World Tour before the Open Championship next week at Royal Troon. But now we've got the Scottish Open at the Renaissance Club. I'm excited. You're excited. It's a great week. We get golf in the middle of the night. You don't have to sweat your guys making bogeys while you sleep. Let's get to it. What up, everybody? It's your boy, DFS Up North, a.k.a. Josh Thomas here with another DFS Army 555 podcast where I bring you all you need to know in a short period of time. That is maybe my favorite thing. If you're like me, you're a dad, you got stuff going on, you don't have time to dive through all the research. And you don't have time to watch an hour and a half podcast or listen to an hour and a half podcast, however you consume your media. And there are tons of great podcasts out there, but I do believe that we can get the information out to you in not 5 minutes or less. That's maybe a little short, but about 10 minutes every time, with 5 of my favorite stats that are narratives to look at for the week, 5 of my favorite plays, and 5 punts that are going to help you take down a GPP or tackle down. I don't know how long that has been in there, how long that little typo. I just noticed that I really never look at that slide other than to change the name and picture. But like I said, 5 key stats, 5 favorite plays, 5 low on punts. If you are not a DFS Army VIP, you can use that code Up North. That gets you 10% off the life, and that gets you way more in-depth information. I just finished my notes for the week, covering a ton of guys who I think are viable this week and some that I don't. All the information that you need to know about them in there gets you access to our research station, which has even more in-depth, however in-depth you want to go. And then finally, access to our domination station, which is our DFS Army optimizer that literally turns average Joes into DFS pros. So our 5 key stats for the week. The first one comes to me from my buddy Lee Aldrich over at, well, now he's at Shippin. We used to work together over at Fanshare Sports, but Lee was talking about how much rain they've gotten in the upper Scottish area this week. He lives over there, not in Scotland, but and they've just had tons of rain, and that is going to make this course play different than it has the last 2 years. It's going to be very soft. There will be very little run out. As you know, we are in Scotland now. We always need to check the weather. It will be windy this week, especially I know Thursday morning. Friday looks pretty nice. But those soft conditions, right, are going to definitely play a role. Like I said, the run out is not going to be there. I think that takes some of these shorter hitters out of play. Maybe not out of play, but it just gives a bigger advantage to longer hitters. I think the longer hitters already had an advantage here, but now it's going to be even more, especially we're going to get more rain Thursday morning. All right. And I do think that that is going to help with the scoring. You should be able to fire at some of these pins. The greens won't be rock hard as they were at times in the past. But we've seen this course be scoreable before. We saw Cameron Tringali shoot a 61 here a couple of years ago. So it is definitely going to be, at least in my opinion, the first couple of days here, Thursday and Friday, the course will be gettable because of the rain that they've experienced. That being said, I do think even though we only have a couple of years of course history here, that it does matter. We typically see maybe even not necessarily course history, but like links-ish style golf history. I do find myself sometimes, and we're gonna dive in here, I do find myself sometimes getting sucked into that a little bit too much. And I tend to fall in love with some of the European Tour players or guys that have maybe had success here before. I can think back to like a Matthew Southgate, who I love, and I do think he's viable again this week. But you got to remember that the best players in the world play on the PGA Tour outside of like Bryson and Brooks and John Rahm, right? A couple of those guys. But when we're comparing the DPWT and the PGA Tour, for the most part, the best players in the world play on the PGA Tour. So even your mid-tier PGA Tour players are typically better than some of the better DP World Tour players. And we see that when guys come over and play on the PGA Tour. That being said, it is a different style of golf course this week and next week. But, I don't think you can write off a guy like a Lucas Glover, right? Who actually does have some links experience. Guy's been around a long time, right? So guy like that, who's sort of your middling tour pro, can have some success here as opposed to maybe a young gun that's playing really, really well right now. I do, like I said, I do get sucked in the narrative sometimes with those young guns. You're going to see it here in a little bit that I do have a bunch of young guns listed, but it's a good thing to think about this week. Talked about all length matters. These are some of the bigger green complexes that guys on the tour will see this year. So typically around the green play doesn't matter unless you're going to chip off them. So it's going to be much more putting this week than anything, and avoiding 3 putts, which is going to be huge. We talked about it's a strong field. Okay, you are getting the best DPWT guys, the best PGA guys together this week to play an event. This is what the stacked or the elevated fields in the U.S. This is sort of what I think we should have. All right. I wouldn't mind seeing those elevated events be 6 or 7 a year with half and half like this. You play Scottish and that's an elevated event and, things like that. So more of a world tour, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's going to be a fairly strong event. All right. So I talked about how driving is important this week. And for me, hands down, one of the best drivers, and one of the best drivers in the world is going to be Ludwig Aberg or Aubert. I love him at this price. He is, you look at a Rory McIlroy at 11.9 here, who I do like, but we're getting Aberg for $1,400 less. Oberg, God, I say it wrong every time. Oberg for $1,400 less. I think he just makes a lot of sense. I think that the ownership combination of going with someone like him and Minwoo Lee in your lineups makes for a very unique GPP play. And again, if you're just throwing some darts at a Millie Maker or things like that, a big contest, the $20, whatever it is this week, I don't mind getting a little funky here. Right. Talk about Minwoo Lee. He was core play for me in Detroit. I thought he played well. Getting over here, this is more the style of his game. He's one of the better shot makers out there, good driver of the ball, and one of the best 3-putt avoidance guys on tour. So again, just really like Minwoo Lee this week. 9,200 I think is too cheap. This is the sort of style of golf that I see him having a lot of success at. All right. Rory McIlroy, defending champion, obviously coming off a heartbreak at the US Open. Is going to have to answer for that this week. I think that's going to be a distraction along with whatever's going on in his personal life. That being said, you got to have some Rory here. I think I put him at 15 to 20% in my notes this week. It's just Rory at the Scottish Open Renaissance Club. He's going to be there. He's going to be in the mix. I have no doubts about it. All right. Another guy who I think is going to almost be a guarantee to be in the mix here this week is Tommy Kim. I'm playing outstanding golf and has just 2 great finishes here. I think 6th and 3rd in the 2 events, similar to Tommy Fleetwood, who I think has a 6th and a 4th here. But Tom Kim he seems to like this style of golf. All right. So I really like Tom Kim here. We talk about that course history. I think even though it's going to play a little bit longer, that should suit his game this week. Fleet Daddy. He's cash law. I put him in here because of that. I don't know that Tommy Ladd is going to win this week. I think he'll be around the top 10, but a guy, it's hard at 9,900. You almost have to start there. I view Fleetwood more as a accessory piece, but if you're building single entry, I guess I don't hate it. There is enough value. They did do the weird pricing this week down to 5,000. I don't know. They need to figure it out what they're going to do. It's annoying that every week it changes. But another guy with great history here, and has been playing okay, not great, but who has been playing great? My boy Tommy McKibben here, the skinny little lad on the left. Just outstanding golf lately. He's long, he hits it well. He is my favorite cheapie play this week. Let's see. I'll pull up what I wrote about him. Bomber doesn't been crushing it. He's going to be one of the more popular Euro players this week. I don't care. At 7,000, I'm in on Tommy McKibben. If you don't want to go with Tom, then I would suggest a guy like Sebastian Soderberg, 6,400, 8,500, one of the best ball strikers in the field. Won at the mixed event, I think. But yeah, winner earlier this year, playing really good golf right now too. Super cheat, 6,400. Guy I love this week is former Live Tour star Bernd Wiesberger. Played 1 year on Live, struggled mightily, got back on the DPWT, has been playing great, racking up top 20 finishes this last month or two, like crazy. He's only $8,000 on FanDuel, one of my favorite FanDuel plays this week. Bernd Wiesberger. Then I talked about sort of those vets that can get it done over here and are better than maybe we give them credit for. And that a guy that really checks the boxes for me there is Tom Hoagie, one of the best ball strikers on tour. He's not afraid to fire up pins, which if this course is playing wet this week, you're going to be able to. Sometimes at an event like this, that'll get him in trouble. But just given the conditions, I think leading into this week, at least what we've been hearing right now, I really like Tom Hoagie. He does have some success over here on link style courses too. So don't sleep on, like I said, those guys. And then finally, Nicholas Norgard Muller averages off the tee 322. Like if you can hit it that far on average off the tee, like I gotta get some exposure to you. He's been playing pretty well in the DPWT, but a cheapy guy that nobody's gonna play that I think could be sneaky here. So that is what we've got for you guys this week. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you want more in depth than what this 10 minutes was able to provide, 10:51 here, then you need to become a DFS Army VIP. You can do that by commenting, or not by commenting, by using the code up north. That gets you 10% off VIP monthly membership to DFS Army. Peace. We will see you in the Discord. Cheers, everybody.